All right, a very good evening. Welcome to the second live stream of storytelling based on our original framework, the Brainular Self. We at Pinaka Transformations welcome you all to the second live stream. And here we are. My name is Brainular and I'm the co-founder, Pinaka Transformations. I am joined with my colleague, Nupur Saxena, who is the co-founder, Pinaka Transformations. Over to you, Nupur.
Hi, hello everyone. A very good evening to everyone here. So this is Nupur, and we are going to again talk about stories, conversations, poetry, how it affects them, how it affects us actually, and what is the meaning behind. And we are also going to talk about how we can have a framework, how a framework adds value to our already existing work, and not just adds value but actually give us a more meaning, give us more courage, confidence. So it's going to be about that imagination. Sometimes it's fueled. When it is fueled with a framework, it gives us lot more clarity, lot more confidence. So as Brinal already have said that imagination sometimes dries up. So let's see, we are going to talk about how the framework of storytelling, we can improve, we can actually uh, have a broader imagination. So Rinal, over to you. uh,
Thank you very much, Nupur. So we are absolutely crazy about storytelling. We are into neuroscience of storytelling. As Nupur said, she loves poetry, she loves metaphor, she loves language. I am the creator of the Brainular Self. I absolutely love to research how brain creates all of these. Now, in today's session, we are going to deep dive and jump into. All right, we are joined by Gaurav Joshi. Welcome, Gaurav. We are looking at 𝒔𝒕𝒂𝒏, but 𝒔𝒕𝒂𝒏, your camera and mic are not working. That's why you can't join. Once they are working, we'll add you on stage. Now, what is it that drives us? Okay, what is storytelling? What are characters? Okay, before I begin with that, I have to clearly tell you that your brain is creating the character, whether it is your own character or the characters you want to create through storytelling. The brain is creating those characters, whether it is you or the characters you want to write about, in three stages. Okay, in three stages. And the brain goes from stage one to stage two, from stage two to stage three. Brain does not jump. Brain does not go to stage two straight away. That's why I've come across a lot of adults who are reliving their childhood. They want to experience their childhood, they want to experience their teenage again. Why? Because in their childhood and in their teenage, they did not get ample opportunities to emotionally develop themselves, to emotionally experience life. Now, let's go back to life. Let's go back to our own childhood, our own adolescence, and our own teenage. If you go back and you deep dive, you'll clearly see that our childhood and our adolescence and our teenage was full of experiencing emotions. Remember your childhood. You were only experiencing emotions. The brain was developing your emotional engine. You were only and only feeling everything, whether it was food, whether it was conversations, whether it was your parents, whether it was your toys, whether it was the games you played, whether it was the clothes you wear, whether it was going out on picnics with your friends and family. You were experiencing everything emotionally. That's why you must have heard a lot of child psychologists, a lot of adolescent and teen psychologists telling the parents to help the children feel more and more and enjoy the experience of feeling things. Because if that doesn't happen, then when you grow up and you become an adult, that experience, that lack of experience troubles you a lot. You feel a vacuum. You feel something is missing. You feel, oh my God, I have grown up, but I don't feel things emotionally. I don't feel things. I feel I want to experience things emotionally. Okay, so you join theater clubs, you join storytelling clubs, you go on treks, you befriend people, you fall in love, you crave for intimacy, you build friendships for a lot of things. So what happens is you're craving for emotional experience. So the brain is creating your emotional engine first. Only once the brain has created emotional engine completely does it go to creating the thinking mind, the cognitive mind, the mind which thinks. But here is a warning: if your emotional engine has not been created fully, then you will feel thinking brain is not working as fully or as competently as you would have wanted it to be. That's not your fault. That's because your emotional engine is still not fully functional. Okay, so that is a little about how the brain works. And now let's jump into the storytelling and let's find out how to create the emotional engine of your characters. So what I want you guys to do is, let's not begin with the character. Let's begin with you. Okay? Now you are there, you are listening to me right now, and I want you quickly to write down. If you have a pen and a paper, fantastic. You don't have a pen and paper, you have your mobile phones, just quickly write down, how many selves do you have? How many selves do you have? Okay, let's talk about me. Okay, when somebody asks me, when Nupur asks me, Mrinal, how many selves do you have? I quickly go into my brain and ask myself, okay, what all do I identify with? What are the cells I have? Okay, the first one is, I am a neuroscientist, I'm a neuro coach. Okay, I love neuroscience. It's my passion. Okay, I love to research about it. I love to think about it. I want to talk about it. I want to write about it. Okay, that's my one self. Fantastic. Then Nupur asks me, what is your second self? And I think, what is my second self? Okay, my second self is, I am a son to a mother. That is a very active self. Okay, I feel all the time that I am a responsible son to a mother. Okay, why? Because I have an 80-year-old mother who is not very physically fit, who's ailing. So I feel that responsibility all the time. So what is my second self? I am a son to a mother. That's my second self. Okay, then Nupur asks me, what is your third self? And I think, my third self. So my third self is, I am a spiritualist. I am the devotee of Bhagwan Ma 𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴, and I love her, I adore her, I think about her, I pray to her. I really feel like I'm a son to her, and I ask her whatever I want freely, and I'm very confident about her loving me. So that's my third self. Okay, and then Nupur asks me, do you have any other self? And I look at Nupur and I tell her, yeah, I have another self. I have a self which loves traveling. I have a self which is all for buying an Indian motorcycle motorcycle, the Harley Davidson kind, and I want to travel all over India, all over world. I want to go on solo rides. That's my fourth self. So how many cells do I have? I have four cells. Okay. What are the four cells? The first one is a neuroscientist, a cognitive neuro coach. The second self is I am a son to a mother. Okay. What is my third self? I'm a spiritualist. I love my Guru Bhagwan Mahanand Bhai. And the fourth self is I love to travel. I'm a traveler. And I would like to have an Indian motorcycle to travel all over the world, which will cost me around 40-50 lakhs. That is my future plan. Now, I have written my four cells. Have you written your cells? Write down. Write down how many cells you have. All your cells. Okay? All right. Now, let's go to step 2. Now, Nupur asks me, Mrinal, let me use the language of the brain with you. Okay? Now, the language of the brain is not the language we speak. It is not English. It is not French. It is not Bhojpuri. It is none of the languages we speak. Okay? Language of the brain is the language in which the brain can feel and the brain can think. It is the language in which the brain can feel and the brain can think. So now Nupur is going to use the language of the brain on me. So what Nupur does is, she asks me, Mrinal, let's go one by one through all your cells. Okay? Let's take up the self of neuroscientist. Tell me, how warm do you feel being a neuroscientist? What kind of warmth do you feel being a neuroscientist? How good, how warm do you feel being a neuroscientist? So I go into my brain, because this is the language of the brain. The language thinks in this language. The key word here is warmth. How warm do I feel as a neuroscientist? I think about it and I tell her, Nupur, out of 10, I feel 50. Out of 10, I feel much more than 10. That's the kind of warmth I feel being a neuroscientist. And Nupur is like, very good. That's awesome. Write it down. And I write it down. So you also write down, how warm do you feel about yourselves? Whether it is the son, the friend, the entrepreneur, the corporate employee, the product manager, the father to a son or a parent, as a husband, whatever cells you have identified. There is no limit. If there are 5 cells, write down, how warm do you feel out of 10? Okay? How warm do you feel? Do you feel 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 0 out of 10? Whatever you feel, write it down. Don't tell me, don't tell anybody, just write it down for yourself. Okay?
And
Write it
also,
down.
just one top up, just don't rationalize whatever comes to your mind. Just write it down. Like, instead of, okay, abhi mujhe kya do, I am feeling just two. That's just not possible. Don't think like that. Just whatever comes to your mind when you are thinking about that self. How warm do you feel? You just write down that number.
Absolutely. Nupur just gave you a gold mine. Never rationalize, because the emotional engine of the brain is non-cognitive. It's non-cognitive. It is not a thinking brain. It is just the feeling brain. So whatever you're feeling, just write down that much. Don't think over it. Don't rationalize it. Okay? So I hope you have written, how warm do you feel? Okay, for all your cells. For example, in my case, as a neuroscientist, I feel 50 out of 10 warmth. As a son, I feel 8 out of 10 as a son. Okay, as a spiritualist, the devotee of Bhagwan Mahanand Bhai, I feel 6 or 7. Okay, warmth, goodness, warmth. And as a traveler, I feel 2 out of 10. Okay? All right. Now Nupur asks me, Mrinal, write down what all is giving you the warmth and what all is not giving you the warmth. For example, in my case, Nupur asked me, Mrinal, you said you get 50 out of 10 warmth. You feel 50 out of 10 goodness in being a neuroscientist. Write down what all gives you the warmth. Okay? So I write down. The brain science gives me warmth. The knowledge I get from the brain science gives me warmth. How I am able to understand human behavior and human mind because of neuroscience gives me warmth. The confidence I get gives me warmth. The respect I get from my peers and from my coaches and from my followers and from my friends and family gives me warmth. So many things are giving me warmth being a neuroscientist. Okay, since I said 50 out of 10, there is nothing over there which does not give me warmth. Okay, that is done. Now she comes to the next one. She says, Mrinal, you identified yourself as the sun. Okay, so how much warmth are you getting? And I told her I'm getting 8 out of 10. So she asks me, what all gives you warmth? And I say, my mother's love for me gives me warmth. She has so much faith in me gives me warmth. Her unconditional love and care for me give me warmth. Okay, that's what is giving me warmth. Okay, so she says, great, but you said 8 out of 10. That means two things are 2 points are remaining. There are 2 points which are not giving you warmth. What is the difference? What are the things which are not giving you warmth as a son to your mother? What is it that is not giving you warmth? And I think about it. And I tell her, okay, that's a very good question. Because I said 8 out of 10. That means there are 2 points which are missing. That means there is something which is missing, which is not giving me warmth. What is it? So I start thinking, what is it that is not giving me warmth? And I get the answer. The answer is because she's old. So I am not getting the warmth. I am suffering. It is hurting me. I would have loved to see my mother absolutely healthy and walking and enjoying life. She can't eat much, she can't walk much. That is not giving me warmth. I am not able to take my mother on, on travel all across India. I would love to see her travel with me and spend time in resorts and beaches and mountains, but I can't take her there. That is not giving me warmth. So you see, this is how stories can come out. This is how stories are coming out. Till now, 17 minutes back, I knew nothing. But the moment you start asking me how many cells you have, how warm do you feel about those cells, what are the reasons you feel warm, and what are the reasons you don't feel warmth, suddenly so many stories are coming out. Now, I want all of you to write down what are the reasons which give you warmth for your cells, for the cells you have written, and also write down what are the reasons you are not getting warmth from those cells. Write it down.
If you are comfortable, you can also write it down in the
Write
chat
down
if you are comfortable.
the reasons which are giving you warmth, being that self, and also write down what are the reasons that the remaining warmth you are not getting. For example, if you are getting 8 out of 10, write down why did you say 8, what all things are giving you the warmth equivalent to 8, and then write down what are the reasons you are not getting the remaining warmth, which is 2. Yeah, Nupur, you were saying something.
Yeah, I was just sharing that in case if anyone wants to also share with us and also try to understand, they can also write it in the chat if they're comfortable, or else you can just write it down for yourself.
Yeah, you can share privately with us in the chat here.
Okay. So,
Thank you, Veena.
Thank you. Sometimes when we think about it, I mean, it has happened with me that I never knew that there are so many cells. It's just related to, okay, it will, at the first thought, just one or two. Then when we dig deeper and when we try to, just think more, then more points keep coming. So yes, it's a good way of getting some pointers about us.
Okay, now those who are on stage with us, Namita, Dhurandhar Sharma, I believe, Veena, Lata, I'm adding you. Okay, fantastic. Now, so
Thank
you
you.
see, now you got an idea who you are, how many cells you have, point number 1. Point number 2, how warm do you feel about that self, okay? And what are the reasons you feel warm about being that self? And also, what are the reasons for the warmth that is missing, okay? Now look at all the pointers which are in front of you. Now look at all the pointers which are in front of you. Just look at all the pointers which are in front of you. And suddenly, you will see a character right in front of you. That's a character. That is who you are. That is your story. Because for every warmth you feel, there are reasons. For every warmth you do not feel, there are reasons. For every self you are, there is a past, there is a present, and you are thinking about its future also. So that's the whole masala you have in front of it. Okay? So that was the warmth. Okay, that was the warmth. Now, I'm going to use another language of the brain. For these cells which you have written, I'm using another language of the brain. For these cells which you have written, okay? How safe do you feel being all the cells you have written? For example, I told you that I feel 50 out of 10 warmth being a neuroscientist. That was my warmth. I also gave you the reasons for how warm I feel being that neuroscientist. Now, you may ask me, Mrinal, how safe do you feel being a neuroscientist? And I tell you, safe. I feel 9 out of 10. And you ask me, Mrinal, why is that one missing? And I tell you, because I have to take my theory to the entire world. And that is what Pinaka is trying. At Pinaka, Nupur and I are trying to take this theory to the entire world. So that one missing is because we know there is a struggle ahead of us. See, that's how I got to know about myself better. Then Nupur asked me, Mrinal, you said you feel 8 out of 10 warmth being a son to a mother. Now let me use another language of the brain and ask you, how safe do you feel being the son? How safe do you feel being the son? And I tell her, oh my God, I feel 5. I feel 5. So Nupur asks me, Mrinal, you feel only 5 being safe as a son. While when it comes to warmth, you feel 8 out of 10. But being safe as a son, you feel only 5. Why? And I tell her, because I am always worried. Mortality scares me. Mortality scares me. I'm worried. She's becoming weak. She's not that healthy. That worries me. Mortality scares me. So you see, my fears are coming out if you use the language of the brain. If you use the language of the brain, the fears, the unconscious and the subconscious fears, the unconscious and the subconscious desires, the unconscious and the subconscious thinking patterns, the unconscious and the subconscious emotions and feelings are coming out. These I wouldn't have shared otherwise. I am sharing these because Nupur is using the language of the brain with me on all the cells I have. Warmth and safety. How warm do you feel? Why do you feel so warm? Why do you not feel that warm? How safe you feel? Why do you feel so safe? And why don't you feel so safe? That is the emotional engine of yours. That is your emotional engine. That is the engine which is pulling your life in whatever direction you are going right now. That emotional engine is the power which you feel as various cells going in various directions. So in order to create stories, in order to create characters in a story, you have to think exactly like this. The first thing you have to ask yourself is, my character, how many cells does it have? Is my character father to a son? Is my stakeholder father to a son? Is my character a product manager or a CEO or a COO in a company? Is my stakeholder a CEO or a COO? Is my character a painter who has not been able to pursue his passion because of responsibilities? Is my character a food lover, a foodie? What is my character? How many cells does my character have? That's the first thing. After that, you have to apply the language of the brain on all the cells. And you have to ask, how warm does my character feel in each self and why? Question number 1. Question number 2, why doesn't he feel fully warm? 10 out of 10. What are the reasons he or she doesn't feel fully warm? That is for warmth. Similarly, how safe does he feel in all these cells? Write down the answers. What are the reasons he does not feel that safe? And what are the reasons he feels safe? Write down all the reasons. Suddenly you have the whole story in front of you. because now the emotional engine which will pull the story in a particular direction is right in front of you. Now, I would request Nupur to read the writer self that came out after I did this exercise with her recently. I did this exercise recently with her, and her writer self produced a gem within 48 hours. Let's listen to Nupur.
Thank you, Mrinal. And while doing the exercise, it just when I was writing all those self, I always knew that I love to write, but it got me a sense of reinforcement because suddenly it was like, how do I feel as a writer? 10. So even though I was previously not coming out published somewhere, but still I used to feel that, okay, there is, I love writing. But this exercise actually is something which, as language of brain, that you feel warm as a writer, you feel the level of warmth. So then there was no maybe in that. So I will read the poem which
And
I
Nupur,
wrote.
how safe did you feel as a writer when we were doing this exercise?
It was, I think, 3 or 4, and the reasons were because when I was trying to write down all the reasons, the first reason which came was you haven't actually published anything. so, so, so that was one thing. The other reason was obviously that you don't know how to make your way as a writer. How do you people accept you when you have, so the safety level was 3, but the warmth level was 10. So that's how
Guys, this
you.
is extremely important. I want you to note it. This is the live example in front of you. The person is saying that as a writer, the warmth level was 10 out of 10 because she loves writing, she loves metaphors. But when we asked her how safe she feels, the scores have changed completely. It's 3 out of 10. And that's where you suddenly become very surprised. You are like, how is it possible somebody feels the warmth 10 out of 10, but the safety is 3 out of 10? How is it possible? This sounds contradictory. It is not contradictory, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely true. You are using the language of the brain to get the cumulative experience, the cumulative emotional experience of that self. It may seem contradictory, it is not. It is complementing. Over to you, Nupur.
Yeah, thank you, Mrinal. So, the name of the poem I wrote after this exercises, and it just came very raw, very honest, because in my mind, after this exercise, I was going through, okay, maybe I'm not a writer because I have not published anything, but still I have been published in a few of the other channels and all, but not as a book. So but then I thought, but I love to write, the kind of warmth I felt while doing this exercise was that I love to write. So the name of the poem started with that, not a writer. So I've just recite the poem.
The name of
And
the poem, ladies and gentlemen, is I Am Not a Writer.
yeah. So, and I'll also share few of the thoughts which were in my mind while writing. So I was writing. I sat down with a pen and paper in my hand. Maybe I'm not a writer. It's just that sometimes my anger, my voice, my desire long to be embraced by paper. So I pick it up along with stains of me and some blue ink, hoping it will love me back a little. And sometimes it does. So I write a word or two, and my heart becomes a little less chaotic. I write how it feels when I pretend to be something I am not, and how my heart aches so much that it feels as though it will explode with grief. But it heals. Uh, Sometimes I write about how badly I want to tell certain people what they mean to me. Yet instead, I write it down and bury it. The words scream to reach the ears and eyes of someone kind. I write because I do not have a story to share, which is ending with a successful quest. So I write poetry about not having a story. I write because otherwise something will explode outward or pierce me from within. I write because I desire these stains and blots of sanity. My blue colored ink, how you spread across the paper without inhibition, like a river rushing free when a dam finally breaks. Maybe I'm not a writer. The river inside me is waiting for someone or something to allow it to scatter like my ink. Perhaps it will leave stains on people through its journey of existence. Maybe I'm not a writer, but someone who writes the path, proofreads it, and put it on a vintage image paper with my name below, which is Nupur. So that's what it came. Just very honest, like thinking in the mind. I like to write, so why not just write? Maybe if I, so that identity of okay, you are a writer was reinforced when I saw my things scattered here on paper with my character telling me. So yeah, that's how it was. And thank you everyone here for listening it patiently. And this is something which came out after the exercise. Thank you. Thank you. Uh,
So this is this is the gold mine you get after this exercise. The gold mine is because you are choking emotionally and you don't know. Emotionally, you are choked and you don't know. When you conduct this exercise on yourself, suddenly all the knots which are choking you are opened. All the knots opened safely and the emotions flow. So there is a beautiful self expression happening when you use this exercise on yourself and then on the character you want to create. Of course, you must have guessed it by now. You can use it to coach people. You can use it to understand why people behave in a certain way. You can use it in your organizations to understand and predict behavior. You can use it in several ways. All those training programs will be rolled out very soon, and you will hear from us, including the storytelling training program, which will be rolled out very soon. Okay, so that was us, Nupur Saxena and Mrinal Dhar from Pinaka Transformations. Please get in touch with us. We are at www.pinaka.com, and it was lovely listening to you and having you here. If you have any questions regarding the session today, reach out to us and we would absolutely love to hear you and talk to you. Thank you very much and see you very, very soon. We are going to come with a lot of live events and a lot of training programs. Okay? God bless you all and happy storytelling.
Thank you, everyone. Happy storytelling. All the very
Bye bye.
best.
Bye bye.
We look forward. Yeah, bye. Thank you.